Hey everyone, and welcome to the June 2021 Energetic Insights. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Depika Mystery, and I'm an intuitive guide, energy healer, coach, and a consultant. And for almost 2 years now, I've been sharing these insights on a month-by-month basis. And it's really geared up for those of you guys that are becoming more and more consciously aware of your intuitive and energetic abilities and are looking for some practical guidance to help you to navigate your way through. So if that sounds like you, welcome, you're here at the right place. So, how are you guys feeling after the intense May that we've had? I don't know about you, but I most certainly felt all the ups and downs of May. And I know a number of you guys have also felt it too. So, what does it mean for June? So, for many of us, we're still going to be feeling some of the intensities of May at the beginning of June, maybe for the first week or two of it, as things kind of clear out and our system starts to process what we've kind of gone through. This isn't a bad thing whatsoever because there's some new themes that are coming through, and this is really deep clearing and healing that is happening. Towards the end of June, what the guides are kind of showing me was this almost this sense of beautiful freedom, peacefulness, and joyous energy that's starting to come through, which is really expanded. And the way that they showed it to me was like your heart center, our heart centers are being opened up. So all this beautiful heart energy is going to start to be pouring out through us, from us, and around us. So that feels really exciting. And I feel that the energy for July is going to be completely different to the energies we've had the last 6 months of this year. So I'm curious to find out what that's going to look like. But let's kind of look at the energies for June. And before we do that, let's have a quick recap of the energies of May, because I feel that these 4 themes, especially the inner child integration, is going to really be playing out quite significantly in the first 2 weeks of June. So the 4 themes were, as I mentioned, inner child integration. The other ones were ancient wisdom awakening, emotional turbulence, and then grounding the feminine heart. So you'll still find some of those themes definitely playing out in the first 2 weeks of June. So be patient and be gentle with yourself and allow the energies to do its thing. All right, well, let's move on to the first theme for this month. The first theme I got, which I think is really very supportive of what we've been kind of going through in May, and this is just a really great reminder of what can help you to allow the energies to process its way through you. So the first theme for June is slow down and rest, and don't take yourself so seriously as well. It's just one of those things, because what's happening is that if you think about it this way, we have a body, we have a mind, we have emotions, and we have an energetic system. So everything that we've been going through in May has really supercharged our energetic system, and it's starting to flood our emotional system, our physical system, and our mental system. So slowing down and resting, what that is going to do is help create that space that we need so that these new energies and this healing and the clearing that we've experienced in May can start to really integrate with all the different aspects of ourselves. So our physical body, our emotional system, our mental system, because it's already activated in our energetic system. So in some ways this is really, really, really exciting, but we also need to have some space to allow ourselves to really integrate all this. Otherwise, what's going to happen for some of us is that we're moving too fast, we're not resting enough. We're going to be finding ourselves tripping over ourselves, whether it's physically tripping over ourselves or it's metaphor in terms of tripping over what we're doing and things not working itself, or we're finding ourselves finding greater resistance coming up. So the slowing down and resting is just about creating that space. So the key things here to really focus on is really enhancing that self-care practice. What does it look like on a daily basis? What does it look like on a weekly basis? What does it look like over a period of a month? So I'm going to just run through some tools and tips, and maybe you can bring some of those in just to kind of help slow down. The biggest one and the best one is, see, if you can do it, take some naps during the day, or make sure you have a better bedtime routine so you get that full 8 hours sleep, or however many hours of sleep that you really need. And you can set the intention to say, as I sleep tonight, that I allow the energies that I've been processing over the last month to really integrate into my system. And you can ask your guides, you can ask the universe to help you to do this while you sleep. And sleep is a really great time to allow these energies to integrate. So that's one of the first things that I will say. Those of you guys that already journal, I would suggest maybe changing it up a little bit. So if you're someone that's always journaling about your day and just writing about that, maybe you can have a 5-minute journal practice where you set intentions in the morning, and in the evening put a gratitude journal. And I really just started a gratitude journal in May, and oh my goodness, it just feels so different. I've gained so much clarity, but almost so much love is moving through me as well. And I used to have a gratitude journal probably about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and then probably I'd stopped, and then I've just come back to it in May, and it's just bringing this, it just feels, what's the best way I can explain it? I just feel more expanded and more grounded and more hopeful. So if you don't have a gratitude practice, maybe just start that. And I find that writing it out is really helpful, because over the last 5-6 years I've probably doing it in my head and being grateful in the moment, but there's some magic that comes with it when you're actually writing it down. So maybe try that in the evening. The other thing is becoming more mindful of your inner critic and self-judgment. Many of you guys may say, well, I already know when my inner critic pipes up, and I already know when I'm judging myself. And I will just say, take a moment to just observe it. And you might find another critic or another aspect of yourself that is judging you. And then that you'll find freedom in as soon as you've identified that as well. And one of the key things is breathing. So we all breathe, we all need air in our lungs, but maybe many of us, and I know I will definitely be practicing this one, but conscious breathing. And maybe start off with 3 really deep conscious breaths with the intentions of moving the energy, allowing the energy to integrate into your physical system, your emotional system, and your mental system. And as you exhale, you release any of the debris that's left over from any of the stuff that you've cleared. So this is a really great practice. And when you breathe, you can integrate it with grounding, which is another great practice. You can sit by the tree and take really deep breaths. Other ways to ground is walking, being barefoot on soil, sand, and grass. That's what I was meant to say. Or you can just lie there and allow that. Sunlight is another way, so you can set the intentions if you're out in the sunlight, especially now in the UK. We've got some sunlight, yay! But you can almost allow the sunlight to, the way that the guys are just showing it to me is like, if the sunlight hits the top of your chest area and allow it to hit the top of your head, and you just breathing. So you're breathing in downwards and breathing inwards and then outwards. So then you just pretend you're a sun and you're kind of emanating the sunlight. So as you use the breath and grounding, see how you can integrate all these tools together. And you take that sunlight energy in, and you can maybe hold it in a place in the body where it's got a bit more tension, or you feel there's some resistance, or you feel like there's something that's not quite moving and it feels a little bit stuck in the body. Take that energy, the sunlight energy, into that part of your body, holding your breath there for a few seconds, and then as you breathe out, you just release it. So then the sunlight energy can just be a recharging energy. The breath energy can be a cleansing one, and then the earth can be very nurturing and grounding for you. See how you can move all those different things in. And then you can also add water to it. So the way that I saw this was, I may have mentioned this before in one of the other insights, but you can write words of affirmation. So love, nurture, joy, peace. Maybe write those words on a piece of paper and then put the glass of water on top of that, set it there for maybe 5 minutes with the intention as, you know, that the water gets charged up with the frequency of love, or the water gets charged up with the frequency of peace, whatever it is that you're needing. So that can be quite healing and self-soothing for you as you go through this process. And those of you guys that love crystals and want to kind of have that crystal energy moving through you, do not put the crystal in the water. Put the crystal beside the glass, right? And if there's a way to put it underneath the glass, great. And I'm sure there are some specific bottles that you can get that has the crystal in the bottle and then another section where the water can flow through. If you don't need to get that, you can just put the crystals around the glass for 5 minutes with the words. You can combine it with the word and then drink the water. And then as you drink the water, it will just fill you up with whatever it is that you need. And a few more things is just make sure you take time to get away from your devices as well. And those of you that are feeling that you need some extra support, do seek out a therapist, a coach, a healer. And if you're not ready for that, go and get yourself a massage, or go and look at, say, shiatsu or cranial sacral therapy. Any involving is a great another way of working with your body to help release and allow the body to integrate with these new energies. So I think this theme is really, really key. It's going to support whatever you've been going through in May, but also help you as you go through the next kind of layer of clearing and healing. There's a little bit more here in June. So let's move on to the second theme. This one's a little bit juicy. I almost laughed when I got this, but it's beautiful in a way. So it's called Control and Manipulation Awareness. And the way that the guides kind of showed this to me is, imagine a moon, and imagine the sun shining on the moon. When it shines on one side, the other side is dark. And really what this is about, this is a metaphor really about there's more light that's shining, because you've done the clearing, you've done the healing, you've done the purging. So therefore more light is entering in your system. So as the light enters your system, it's really going to highlight where some of the shadow aspects of yourself is sitting. And this really focus on the shadow parts of yourself that controls and manipulates, controls you and manipulates you, and controls other people and manipulates other people. And this is not a bad thing, because if you could take a moment, because some of you guys might get really judgmental about yourself. It's like, well, I'm not controlling, I don't manipulate. And then there's a defense mechanism that kind of comes up. So maybe just sit with it and just have a look at it in a different perspective, which is like, this control and manipulation is really about your self-worth and the need to feel safe. So if you're not feeling worthy, or you don't feel worthy about, you don't feel worthy and you don't feel safe, then there's going to be parts of you that will create this control and manipulation mechanism as a protection mechanism. So it may start to manipulate you, or manipulate other people around you, just because it wants to protect you. So this energy this month is really help shining a light on those aspects of yourself so that they can be released. And for some of us, this is going to be linked to past lives, ancestors, and also inner child. For example, if your inner child hasn't felt safe, say you had a traumatic experience when you were a child, so then the child says, right, I'm never going to allow Depika, for example, in this instance, never going to allow her to do da 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 da, right? So as an adult, as you go along and you want to do da 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 da, I can't even think of the words of it, but just those things that you may want to do, this inner child aspect that is hidden to me will start to control me in a sense, and will pull me back. So if I'm going in that direction to kind of do what I feel like I want to do, but this child, inner child, is programmed to say no, then I'm going to control those parts, then I'll get a pulling sensation that will come through. So here's another way of looking at it. If you're wanting something in life, or trying to go for something, but you're finding yourself being pulled in a direction, it could be your inner child that's trying to protect you and trying to control your environment to keep you safe in that. And the other ways that this will show up as well is that for some of you guys, it'll bring awareness of how you might be manipulating relationships. So manipulating people around you. So think about it this way. It's in a really, it doesn't need to be anything horrific or horrendous. It can be the most simplest thing. Maybe you say something really nice to somebody, right? And you say something really nice to somebody because you want them to acknowledge you, you want them to validate you, or you want them to give you something that you need to make you feel safe, to make you feel loved, to make you feel valued, right? But you see, what's happening is that underneath that, you are doing it from a place of needing something back in return. You're not doing it from your heart energy. And I think this is the key difference, and this will just kind of highlight this for you. So with that, let's go on to some of the tools. The tools are questions that you can use to just kind of explore this theme a little bit and get more clarity around it. So the first question, what are your doubts? And when do your doubts arise? What are the situations that those doubts kind of come up? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel unsafe? When do you feel safe? and when don't you feel safe? And again, I guess you can add in, who do you feel safe with? Who don't you feel safe with? What do you do to validate your worth? Is there an action? Is there something that you do to kind of get your worth validated? Is there a behavior that you act out to get valid so that your worth gets validated? When do you feel worthy? When do you feel unworthy? And then finally, what and who makes you feel worthy, and what and who makes you feel unworthy? So you can just jot those questions down and then take it as an exercise and then see what you get. So happy exploring on that. Just know that this is really, there's so much freedom in this. Like when I'm tuning into this energy, yes, it might be a little bit icky, but there's so much freedom, because at the end of the day, we are freeing ourselves of some of those protection mechanisms in them. And just one final point before I go on to the third theme. For some of you guys, it might be a past life wound, or it might be coming from an ancestor. That's what I mean. It's not just, this is so multi-dimensional. So exploring this, and that's why I said with the first theme, if you can't get it, work with someone to help you to navigate it, especially when it comes to the past life and ancestral. So something might be there might be a mechanism that you might have that's come from a past life, or from your ancestors, that is just trying to keep you safe. So it's worth exploring this. This is really, really exciting. Right, let's move on to the third theme. This one is called Honor Your Truth. And this is really different from really speaking your truth. So this is really about really owning, acknowledging, and honoring your truth. So what does that mean? So I'll tell you what the guides kind of showed me. So they showed me, imagine kind of taking a zip and zipping down, and then you're taking off the skin of your body and you're kind of just shaking it out, and then you're putting this whole new skin on and then zipping it up. So it's basically taking off all the things. Let me start again. So I just got distracted with the theme of the visualization that the guides kind of showed me. So with this theme about honor your truth, it's about taking a step back and having a look at where you might be lying to yourself in your life, right? When do you lie? How do you lie? What makes you lie? It's really having a look at it and maybe just sitting with the question, where am I lying to myself in my life? Why am I lying to myself? What's the purpose does that lie serve? How does that really help me? So just start to explore that, and what that will do is just really start to unearth the truth in which you are. So the other way to look at this, what aspects of yourself are you shaming? Are you judging? Are you hiding? That feels resistant, and you might be protecting. So when you start to have a look at that, those will kind of show where you're not fully in your truth. And I think that's the image that I got, was really about stepping into your truth, taking off the masks that are not you, and really stepping into your truth and really owning that truth and honoring that truth. And then I feel again that some of these things will be linked to past life, ancestral, and inner child healing. So when you start to have a look at this, you might kind of find some of the stuff that doesn't really exist in this lifetime, but it comes from other lifetimes, or from your ancestors, or from your inner child. So for example, maybe your inner child spoke its truth. Maybe you were a child and you really vocalized what you felt was to be true, and you got dismissed, or you got punished for speaking your truth. So then you'll shut those sides of you down. So then you create judgment, you create shame, you'll hide. So it's really about unearthing that. And then the other way to kind of have a look at this is have a look at it from a perspective of, what are you afraid of? So for some of you guys, you're doing the work at the moment of really stepping into your light and owning your light. And there may be some past life traumas or ancestral traumas where you owned your light and you've got persecuted for that. So there may be some wounds and stuff that will be clearing, but the way that this will clear is like you really stepping in and owning that truth. And by owning that truth, you start to kind of clear that out and really start to really align and hold on to the truth that you want. And this is really about taking it to another level of, it's more multidimensional than just on the surface thing about who you are. It's really, really getting clear on who you are, why you're here, and what are you here to kind of do. So one of the tools that you can use as you go through this is ask yourself, who am I? Why am I here? What is my truth? And maybe those are the 3 questions that you get up every single morning and ask yourself for this month of June, and see what you kind of get. So with that, let's move on to the 4th and final theme. And that theme is called, can't read the piece of paper, it's called Empowered Clarity. Oh, this is really cool. So this is really about, as I mentioned earlier, that there's going to be greater clarity for us as we move towards the end of the month. But it's not just clarity, but it's empowered clarity. So we're going to really feel empowered with this new level of clarity that's going to allow us to do what we want to do, the way in which we wanted to do it, that has been anything that's been holding us back, we've kind of pulled away from, but we're going to feel more empowered, and just empowered in our own truth as well. So this is about being able to see yourself that much more clearly. For some of us, we may have not wanted the clarity, because to have the clarity, we would have had to look at the shadow side of ourselves. But because we've done so much of the energy clearing and the healing and the alignment work over the last couple of months, that this clarity is going to feel really, really empowering, because it's going to help us. We'll be able to have this really, how can I explain it? We're going to be able to really distinguish the difference between whether a desire is actually coming from our heart's desire, or it's something that we've manifested in our head. So we'll be able to tell the difference of where that desire is coming from. And this clarity is also going to help us. So those of us that have got repetitive patterns and programs that keep running over and over again, we can end up finding ourselves in the same situation with the same type of people. It's going to shine a light on that. So if you have a repetitive pattern, June is going to be a great month to kind of work your way through that. And also, this clarity is going to help us with aspects of ourselves that we've actually suppressed. So if we're someone that's been suppressing who we are and who we are and our voice and everything like that, this clarity is going to help us to see where we might be suppressing ourselves, and just it's almost like I'm getting, the image that I'm getting is one of unwrapping a present. So you're unwrapping the strings of the presents and just unwrapping the present, and there's this beautiful gift that's going to come in. So for many of us, this is going to feel really light, easy, breezy, freeing, expansive, especially those of us that are diving into our shadow work and having fun with it to a certain degree. As much fun as we can do with our shadow work. It's not always great. It's some of it can be really but it's also going to help, especially if we've done the shadow work. There's going to be this kind of freeing energy that kind of comes with it. And those of you guys that may be resisting the shadow work, or not quite done it, or in the process of doing it, you may be faced with resistance. So this isn't a bad thing, and I think that's a key thing to remember. The resistance is just a clue, and it's a clue to an aspect of yourself that just needs to feel safe and loved. So you can use this resistance in a way of identifying where you might not be feeling safe, or where you may not be feeling loved. And you see how this empowered clarity is really going to help us to shift those residues, those things that have been repeating itself over and over again, or things that we've been suppressing that just needs to be freed. So really, really harness this energy this month. And I feel that, as I mentioned before, July is going to be a whole new ball game in terms of energy. I feel like the phase of what we've been going through over the last 6 months is really coming to an end in June. So those of you guys that are really fed up of the deep work, just know that there's a new phase that's coming in June. So take this time to really just dive in, do what you need to do, and so that you're ready for what's to come in July, whatever that might be. All right. Thank you all so much for watching the June Insights. If you've enjoyed this, please, or resonated it, please do share this with your loved ones, friends, colleagues. And then if you are watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching this on Instagram or Facebook, give us a heart. And then feel free to comment below as well. And then if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do. That's Anumi by Depika Mystery. And you'll get these videos and notifications when these videos are out each month. And then finally, the energetic alignment session is taking place on Sunday, June the 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. UK time. And the theme this month is called Honor Your Truth. So if that sounds exciting to you and you feel like you need a little bit of extra support, please do come and join us. The places are limited. And those of you guys that want to go deeper or need some extra support, do feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to support you. All right, take care and have a great day. Bye for now.